Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching FOODCASTER, everything having to do with having a relationship with food. This journey, hey, Michael, and Sam Eats Plants will discuss, and you will definitely be a part of that. Ask us questions, hit us up. We're talking about food, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, Sam?
I am doing very, very well, thank you. What's up with you?
Listen, we're in a brand new space. This frontier of wellness. For the first time in a long time, one of the number one conversations on the planet is keeping well. Isn't that great? That has its advantages, right?
I know, I actually think it's a phenomenal thing. I'm happy because when people want to be better and want to be well, everybody wins.
I think so. Now, hold on. So, this is the thing. It's hard because I don't want to put any false information, but everyone's thinking about the flu, right? Especially right now, the next wave. How many waves are we gonna have? Are we gonna have several waves into the new year? But what about all the other things that basically break your body down, that make you more susceptible to flus and things?
Yeah, so bacterial infections and viral infections always have come in waves
Right.
for millennia, like nothing new.
Okay.
What we can control is how we treat our bodies
Okay.
to bear those waves. There are people that exist who've never had the flu in their life.
Oh wow. Right.
It's happened. I know two people who are like that. Now, part of that might be very genetic. Maybe their bodies just genetically are really good with resisting viruses in general. But then if that is not your constitution, then you have to make that your constitution. And you do that in one of several ways. One, we need de-stressing type of activities. Okay, that's the whole thing.
Okay.
Another, we need adequate sleep. That's a whole nother thing.
Right.
But one of the things we can really decide is what we put in our bodies when it comes to food, and also when it comes to what we put on top of our bodies.
Okay.
All this can play a part in how susceptible we are to infection,
Okay.
to disease, to ailments, where it doesn't matter that it's a wave. I've noticed, I used to have a grandma who would always warn, oh, the swine flu, they're saying this and that.
Right.
She's into it. And I would tell her all the time, it doesn't matter to me. I don't need to even know when these waves are. I do what I do to protect myself in general. I drink certain herbal teas. I use, whatever. I already do it. And so if I find out
Good.
if I find out that if someone informs me there's a wave of something, I still don't care. But I might just up my mushroom teas a little bit, up my herbal teas a little bit.
Right.
Don't really get into the desserts so much. You know what I'm saying? I'll just do things to be more protective. Not only that, but if I feel something coming, and we all can feel it coming before it really hits. We got a tickle in the back, or we got a little sensation in the back of the nose. If you feel that, then do something right in that moment. This is when you take the tinctures. This is when you have that lemon water. This is when you make sure you drink almost a gallon of water in that day, because water can really flush things out, period. So there's a lot of things we can do so we don't feel like we're helpless and we're not steering the wheel of our own health outcomes.
And does it still fall back to what works with you, trying different things and knowing your body, or are there certain things that are just universal that anyone can do?
There's certain things that are just that's what it is. An example, if we look at regular medicine, allopathic medicine, Western medicine, chemical medicine,
Mm-hmm.
You take a painkiller, it relieves the pain. There's almost nobody that exists that doesn't relieve the pain. That's what it does. Now, some of the extra things it does, it will be different for everybody. But overall, the main purpose is it relieves that pain. Same thing with a lot of these food things. A basil will be detrimental to a virus invasion in your body. It just is, period. No matter who you are, that's what basil does, right? So if you understand that and you're like, oh man, I'm scared to get a virus, flu, or whatever, another wave. For me, like I said, it's not my concern. I do what I need to do. But if you're uninformed and you'd like to do better, then eat pesto. Because pesto is full of parsley and basil, right?
Mm.
Just
So
buy
there's
basil.
less expensive ways and less time consuming ways just to get to the same place, basically.
To get to the place you want to be. And if it stresses you out, this idea of like waves of viral infections,
Mm-hmm.
if that is a stressor, then de-stress yourself
Mm-hmm.
by making decisions that will really fortify your own health and your own defenses. If that stresses you,
Right.
if you're stressed by it, then like, no, but then cool.
Yeah.
Then you feel like doing anything, and you feel like if you're sick, you'll deal with it. That's fine. Some people are like that. That's cool.
Right.
But I see a lot of people out here like super like scared, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, if you're scared, then take control by deciding to make decisions in your life that can alleviate that type of fear. Because that fear is just giving you more stress. The stress will reduce your defenses. You know, you will be more prone to get infections and be sick when you're stressed. So take control. Yeah, I'm still waiting. I don't know when we'll ever get these numbers. But when it comes to like coronavirus, I really want to see how many like people who just really have healthy lifestyles
Right.
have gotten symptoms from corona and / or have passed away from coronavirus, because I just think we will see something. But I know we have to wait for those. And especially when it comes to, yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say like the mental approach, but also using common sense. So, for instance, right, bunch of websites say there's a picture of vegetable juice. You know, the classic V8. Obviously, it's better if you make it yourself. You know, you're falling back into something that's processed and stored, and it's made to last too long, or it's in a container that is also giving you toxins because they have to store it in the container, so you're kind of defeating the purpose if you go that route. Another thing is V8 could easily be Bloody Mary, right?
Yes.
But again, you add that alcohol. Not to say just don't drink any alcohol, but you're not necessarily, especially if you're feeling a little off, like, oh, I could enjoy it and I could add the alcohol. You're actually doing yourself a disservice if you're trying to build yourself up at that time, if you're already feeling some kind of thing.
I'm going to push back a bit, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say, like you said the phrase defeating the purpose, like something with V8. And yes, it is preserved. Yes, typically in the can. At least back in the days, in a can. I think they put in plastic now. But the cans would give off tin, so there's tin inside the liquid. If it's in plastics, then you're getting all that other stuff that comes with the plastics. But it's not just
that gel. Also, please mention that anybody that's using canned goods, there's a little film in the cans. Do you know the name of that?
the lining.
The lining.
A lot of it's a BPA lining.
That causes a lot of problems with the ovaries. And actually,
Cancers
male.
in general.
Say it again.
Cancers in general, and anything that deals with an over estrogen effect, because any type of environmental toxins, and that includes plastic toxins, is just giving us more xenoestrogens. And so anything that can be affected negatively with overexposure to estrogen will feel it more.
Wow.
So yes, that's why ovaries, uterine stuff, yeah, things like that, for sure.
Yeah.
But you said the word defeating the purpose. I will actually say if someone doesn't do pretty healthful things and they start drinking V8, it does benefit them. And yes, it is better when you make your own. And yes, it's better when it's fresh, but it doesn't defeat the purpose. It will depend on, it depends on the person. If someone was never doing that and just drinking like blue juice,
or 40s every day.
You know what I'm saying? This is a better change.
So it's a step up. So
yes,
I apologize for that. So it's a step up rather than...
I'll say when it comes to Bloody Marys, some places make their Bloody Mary mix themselves. And in that case, it's like amazing.
Okay.
And then when they mix it with vodka, which is pretty much a disinfectant, it's not awful. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, your liver is going to process, and your kidneys also process the liver, is going to process the alcohol out. So that's, just work on the kidneys. But honestly, if you're already eating pretty processed foods, you're already taxing your liver anyway. So for some people, this is just true. This is just true. If you're eating a bunch of processed foods and a bunch of deep fried foods, you're already taxing your liver. So that being said,
right,
having Bloody Mary in like a standard American diet is actually on the better scale of what things people normally do anyway. Now, if you say what people should ideally do,
okay,
then it's like, don't put the alcohol in it. Just drink the vegetable juice. Right.
Well, I laugh, and I partly said that statement with the backstory. I know of 4 individuals that their cure for everything is to run to alcohol. And in some cases, it makes sense. Again, alcohol, certain ones will, again, more of the pure expensive alcohol will kill certain germs and things. But again, I'm going to do this every day to be healthy is, like you said, now you're taxing parts of your body and you're putting poisons in your body to avoid something else, which is not good.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got to look at the bigger picture. I like to see it in steps for certain people. Mm-hmm. If they're just coming off of just a diet of Oreos and ice cream, and they're like, I can't stand this vegetable juice, but I can have it in a Bloody Mary. I'm like, okay, do it. Do it. Please, you're doing better right now. Go ahead,
Have you ever heard of rice? So, rice as in helping if you have a stomach issue. I saw that online. I never knew. It
binds. So let's say you're having diarrhea. Mm-hmm. Rice help stop that. Bananas too. It can help bind the stuff in your gut up so that the diarrhea symptoms decrease and they're lessened. Rice is super neutral. What's cool about rice? It doesn't overtly really help anything, but it doesn't harm anything either. So it's just kind of they're like, oh, all right, I need a filler. Oh, I can fill with you. You're not hurting me. I can just do that. It's good filler. But yeah, it helps with binding things when it comes to food poisoning, things like that.
You said bananas.
Bananas will do a similar thing.
But bananas are super helpful.
Yeah, that's the difference. You have more health benefits eating bananas than rice, mostly. Yeah.
Well, Sam, everything else good? No?
At the end of the day, it's just you want to eat the most real, the most pure. And then when you understand that, you want your day to look like, how much of the most real and most pure am I eating in the day? You want that number to increase. Mm. You want to kind of focus and work on that. And sometimes if you wake up and you're like, oh wow, I haven't had anything real today, everything I had was deep fried or microwave, then make it a point to eat a handful of grapes. Just do it. Just because you need some real stuff. Or not. You can do whatever you want,
And we spoke about that too. It's like a balance. You don't have to just eat nuts and berries all the time. Which, eating nuts and berries all the time, you'd be very unhealthy because there's other things you need to eat as well. But there's this stigma where you have to do the extreme, which I don't understand where that comes from. Like, even something that you would say is totally terrible, okay, have it once every couple months, or you just the everyday, it becomes a normal part of your diet. That's the danger zone. But where did this come from?
It's a character trait. That's what I'm noticing as like when I combine the years I've been a personal trainer and a nutrition counselor, what I realize is certain people are those people where it's all or nothing. They're just those about everything. It could be school. It could be like getting a certification. It's like they're doing it, that's it. But if they fall off, they let you feel like, what's the point? And then there's certain personality traits that either just, I need to take my time to change. Let me take my time to change. And they'll get there slowly but surely. And then maybe they'll take a long, long time, but they'll get there. Or they'll be like, oh, let me try. Oh, no, I messed up. But they'll have fun with it, and they'll do it again. Right. So I actually think it's more so a personality trait. So that means it's harder to actually shift in people. But it's one that I've had to talk to a lot of people about. It is so important to be okay with not doing the things that you think are like the best. Like, it's not really a mess up. It's just like, okay, so you did it. All right, no big deal. Eat some celery now. Why don't you buy some hummus and make some toast with hummus on it? You know, like, there's easy ways to just like continue. There's no like, oh, it's Monday, I'm going to start on Monday. And then Thursday morning, you have a bacon, egg, and cheese from a fast food place because you just really wanted it. And then you feel like your weekend's wasted, so it doesn't matter. That's not true. You eat a bacon, egg, and cheese Thursday morning. All right, now come back. So, but it's actually way easier to talk about than to do, and that's what I'm going to have compassion for. Some people are all or nothing, and it's really hard for them to realize it doesn't matter that you went off of your plan in these 20 minutes.
Right.
It's really hard for people to understand that.
It's so important for people to also just be open to building up, or should I say focusing their energy on building up their body, building up their immune system, and not to take every moment and be in fear of catching the virus. You know, because that mental state, we spoke about it in another episode, where the mental state is so important, where if you're constantly in fear, in the depression or anxiety, you're kind of leaving yourself open to actually catch many things besides the virus.
I definitely had a couple of friends who were like this perpetual fear of it. And I'm like, yo, dude, it's really not Ebola, and you can really go outside. But if you're really that scared, you gotta like work on that fear. Because the thing is, anything can happen to anybody. People get hit by cars, you know, people lose their limbs. And if in general, we kind of always walk with the fear like, well, I don't want to go there. I don't want to even try this because I heard about this person who like broke his ankle doing it. If you're really going to live like that, just assess what life means to you. So for me, I just find it to be an unhelpful place to sit mentally, and I just don't do that in my own personal life. And you know, I reap the benefits and the negatives of that mentality, but I'm fine with that. If you are just a fearful person that fears a lot of the outdoor stuff, the things you cannot control, I really think a lot of that is just like a control issue, but that's another topic. But if you really do have all this fear of things you can't control, if you like feeling that way, well, then don't do anything about it. But if you don't like feeling that way, then start to assess what you can do to control. Like, if you need that control stuff. So part of that is honestly making better health choices. That's something you can do for yourself. That's something you can control. You can control if you have a morning workout routine. So use that. That's something you control. That's something that you don't have to have a mystery question mark about. and maybe that can settle you.
There's a
So you're not
yogi that is supposed to be one of the most, the top 10, one of the most top, of the top 10 most influential people in India. And he was saying that everyone he knows that practices yoga, zero have been affected, which
this
is
is what I'm
that,
trying to say.
which is interesting. And you,
This is
you
what
keep
I'm
making this statement. What are the statistics of people that are exercising, taking care of themselves, eating right, that are being affected? And we don't know
exactly.
that, right? It's not coming out.
We don't know that. It's yes. So all I have is like people I know personally, and let me tell you, I'm in the plant-based, healthy, wellness type of world,
Really?
and it like we're all good, like beyond good, like working in the public the whole time,
Mm,
fine, like without nothing, but just being extra cautious, like some people taking tinctures a little bit more, people drinking teas a little bit more. Those things are happening. Yoga a bit more, or yoga if they hadn't done it at all, and the people really take some real practices. And also, what we do know is the opposite, at least when it comes to mortality rates of COVID, is 94% of anyone that's passed away from it had one or several comorbidity issues, typically diabetes, hypertension, but then others. So, what do you do to even prevent those ailments? It's the same thing. So,
right.
exercise,
Exercise, watching what you eat.
get sleep. It's all the same thing. Like it just goes round back to the same circle. All of it is symbiotic. It's a whole
Wow.
symbiosis. So if you mentioned people who are just fearful of like, oh no, like this virus out here, I don't know what to do. Then decide to control something
Right.
and realize you don't have to fear this. It's not like it feels like it's a boogeyman, but then there's always will be a boogeyman. Once again, it goes back to how do you decide you want to
Right.
walk in life
And until
and how to
we
feel.
change where we get a lot of our food from, the massive farming of animals, this is something that will always come, whether it's COVID-19, COVID-25, whatever you want to call it. It's not going to go away until we change our food sources and rearrange. And also the environment. If, the last week, I would say there have been so many programs and so much information talking about just the polar caps melting and how a lot of diseases were frozen there, and how like the was it the bubonic plague that came back? There were two things that came back out of nowhere that were gone for like 70 years or 100 years.
Really,
Yeah. So anyone
really.
do research on that? Leave us comments. But again,
I mean, it's just a reminder
yeah,
that viruses aren't born. Viruses are not alive, and so they can't die. And so it makes perfect sense that a virus would be like preserved in prehistoric ice because
mm,
it can't die. And that's another reason why I tell people there's some point in just fearing this stuff. Like it doesn't go away, but we learn to adapt and live with it. I mean, that is what living is. That's what symbiosis is. That's how we're supposed to be. So these things can come up, but we need to understand how to live in concert with each other where it doesn't adversely affect us. But we're so far removed on the things to do to like be in the natural world that for some
wow,
people it's very hard to even wrap their mind mentally that we can coexist with something we're supposed to fear. You know,
mm,
if someone I know did a hot air balloon ride over the Serengeti, and she was telling me it was wild because you kind of see like the movement of the giraffes, the movement with the lions, the movement with the hippopotamus,
mm,
but like some are prey to some of these animals. But like when things are chilling, and they have their own rhythm. They're
mm,
working together without understanding they're working together because they all like kind of want to be here, kind of want to thrive. And when things need to come to a head, then it comes to a head. But overall, then they just kind of leave each other alone. As humans, we've lost that. We're lost that. And I just find in the modern world, there's people who are fearful of everything. They're fearful of outside, besides the virus. like bugs, dirt, the heat, the cold. Like, I mean, I'm one who's like fearful of the cold, but I'm just saying, the heat, the cold, like oh, the rain. I can't
Well,
do
you were
anything. It's
genetically
raining.
made not to be in the cold.
I understand.
Because you're an
I
island
understand.
girl. There you go.
I understand. But
And even further back.
exactly. I'm putting myself out there. It's not like those things don't affect me too. Like I am
Right.
fearful of the cold. I'm like, I don't want to go outside. It's cold. But we live in these things where like outside is like, ooh, we're scared to eat things that touch the dirt. We're scared to touch dirt. Um, Therefore, how do we live in this world then? We won't live properly, and we won't live in a way that will thrive. So when we come back to how we're seeing this virus and what we can do, we have to understand it's here forever. Now, how do we live together so we're good? It's like having a neighbor who was like always pumping loud music. You're like, all right, they're not moving, I'm not moving. What can we do to make this better to coexist? It's the same thing how we need to see this virus and other viruses and all the things that can affect us as time goes on.
Well, before we go, it's really important for people to understand that we want to explore being as healthy as possible all the way around. So if you are confronted, and we could do another video of based on the information that we have, because again, we don't know 100% the information. We probably won't ever be fed 100% the information, but we can use common sense of what we see.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, and it doesn't matter. We don't need to know 100% because no one ever knows 100% of anything, and this is the whole point. You gotta find your rhythm and what resonates, and like sit with it and have time, digest it mentally, and you come up with the thing for yourself because no one really knows. And there's one thing that will be said now, but in 5 years it'll be like, oh wait, we didn't even realize it. It doesn't even matter. There's no point in following it. Yeah. Follow yourself.
Tell them, Sam.
You have to learn. Listen to what your body has been telling you that you haven't been listening to. The body's trying to tell you how you're gonna thrive. Follow yourself.
It's important. So definitely leave comments. Anything you want us to talk about again, or things you think aren't right, you disagree, you agree. It's important. Let's get this dialogue going. It's a journey. It's about having a relationship with food. So a lot of shows just say, eat at this restaurant, this is great, this is great. No, this is fuel. Let's look at food differently, and let's keep sharing information. So give everybody your social media.
So you can find me at SamEatsPlants_ on Instagram, where I love to post things that have food or little comments about other stuff and how to live.
Alrighty. And then mine is Michael7 Michael on Instagram. And you could always check us out on TheRealFoodCaster. Check out, and also you could watch this on cable as well. All the information's on geekcaster.com. And you could also watch past episodes on geekcaster.com as well. Thank you so much, Sam. This is great. And let's keep the conversation going.
All right.
Alrighty. You're watching FOODCASTER.